Since Smash Ultimate's release in late 2018, I've shared a lot of trivia about the game that could be called entirely useless, from facts about stages to facts about version differences, and of course a lot of facts about the characters. And a while back, I thought, I wonder if there are any characters in the game that I've never shared a useless fact about. So I went through my entire useless Smash Facts series and counted the amount of facts each character has gotten, and to my surprise, there were only two I've never covered on the series, namely Donkey Kong and Shulk. So I got the idea to make a useless Smash Facts episode where I only covered the characters that have never been covered before, but with only two characters, that would be kinda boring and super short. So instead I thought, why not give everyone the same treatment and make an episode where I share one fact about every character in the game, and that's what you're watching right now. Because I have a whopping 89 characters and thus 89 facts to cover, I'm gonna be going through these lightning quick. Most of these facts come straight from my giant list of unused useless Smash facts, but some of them have been reused from previous videos because I like them. I tried to use an interesting fact for every character, but for a couple of them I really had to stretch because some characters are just not that interesting. But with all that said and done, let's get into this super long lightning round, starting of course with the funny Wahoo Man, Mario! Smash Ultimate was the 100th game in which Charles Martinet voiced Mario, and he was even given a Guinness World Record for this, namely for the highest number of performances as the same character. Despite not voicing Mario anymore, he still holds this record to this day. Donkey Kong! When you fully charge his neutral special, he gets an angry facial expression, and he's the only character in the game where a part of his model changes like this when you have a storable move fully charged, instead of just blinking or getting a particle effect. One of Link's tips is called Who is the Hero, and says that despite being the Zelda series' main character, there are only 5 games with his name in the title, and that one of them might be trickier to remember than the others. The 4 easy ones are The Adventure of Link, A Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and A Link Between Worlds. And many people thought that the one that's trickier to remember is one of the infamous Zelda CDI games, namely Link, The Faces of Evil, which would make this the first time Nintendo has officially acknowledged the CDI games' existence in an extremely long time. But in reality, the tricky one is the spin-off Link's Crossbow Training for the Wii. Too bad. Samus! The green lights on Samus' suit, including the visor, changes to blue when firing a missile, which is a reference to the original Metroid game, since there, the green lights turning blue is what indicated you switching to missile firing mode. Dark Samus! You can hear her footsteps in the walking while aiming a shooter item animation, even though she floats. These were left over from Samus' animation. They just forgot to remove them. Yoshi! The color of the egg Kirby lays with Yoshi's neutral special is dependent on the color of the Yoshi Kirby got the ability from, meaning it contrasts with the color of the green hat he has on. Wait, was that a Kirby fact or a Yoshi fact? Ah, whatever, it's both. Kirby! Since Kirby is the only character you have access to at the start of World of Light, even if you have DLC downloaded, he's the only fighter in Smash history to never be unlockable, since he's also a starter character in every other Smash game, including Ultimate of course outside of World of Light. Fox! Fox's design was updated between Smash 4 and Ultimate, but the after images that are created during his side special still uses his Smash 4 model. They forgot to update those. It's pretty hard to see, but you can clearly see it if you look at the design on the back of his legs. And this error is also true for Falco. There's a little bonus fact for you. Pikachu! His new stock icon in Ultimate is based on the official logo used for Pokemon's 20th anniversary from back in 2016. And they reused this design except with a cleaner, more boring look for their 25th anniversary, which could have been inspired by the Smash Ultimate stock icon in some way, coming full circle. Luigi! The Poltergust backpack he uses in Ultimate is the G00 from Luigi's Mansion 3, but it was actually first shown off in Simon & Richter's Smash Ultimate reveal trailer from August 8th, 2018, including its new ability to shoot a plunger. It wasn't officially shown off until Luigi's Mansion 3 was revealed the following month of that year. Ness! Starting in Melee, Ness's yo-yo model features the year the Smash game it's in was first released, meaning it says 2001 in Melee, 2008 in Brawl, 2014 in Smash 4, and 2018 in Ultimate. The reason I said first release is because there are some instances of a Smash game releasing a later year in some regions, namely Melee in Australia, Europe, and South Korea, Brawl in South Korea, and specifically Smash for 3DS in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and South Korea, meaning the year on the yo-yo is technically incorrect in those few cases. Captain Falcon! One of Captain Falcon's alts actually changes a bit in the Japanese version of Smash Ultimate, namely his third alt, which reads Hellhawk on the back instead of Bloodhawk like in all other versions, most likely to avoid religious references. Here's an interesting one. In Smash 4 and Ultimate, Jigglypuff has cyan eyes, but in the first 3 Smash games it actually had green eyes, which was likely done in reference to the recurring Jigglypuff from the Pokémon anime. You know, the one that constantly puts people to sleep with its music, since that one also has green eyes. Coincidentally, Jigglypuff's shiny variant in Pokémon also has green eyes, which leads some to believe both that recurring Jigglypuff in the anime, as well as the Jigglypuff in the first 3 Smash games to be a shiny. But shiny Jigglypuff also has a much lighter skin tone, which Smash's Jigglypuff doesn't really have, and neither does the anime Jigglypuff. The reason they updated this in Smash 4 is likely because Sakurai wanted to distance Smash more from the anime, as Sakurai is known to mostly only want video games to be represented in Smash. For some reason, Peach has a whopping 4 idle animations, compared to the usual 2. There really isn't a good reason for this, but yeah, she does. She's the only character with this oddity. Cool, I guess. Daisy! In Peach's neutral special description, Toad is referred to as a male with he/him pronouns. But in Daisy's neutral special description, Toad is referred to as an it, despite having the exact same text otherwise. This means that Blue Toad is a non-binary icon. Epic. Bowser! As most of you probably know by now, Giga Bowser, the character Bowser transforms into during his final Smash, is a Smash original character. But did you also know that at one point they considered putting Giga Bowser in Skylanders Supercharged, as stated in this Treehouse Live event?
So cool. This is Magma Bowser, and this is great fun for us to create. You know, originally we were thinking about Giga Bowser, and the Nintendo team said do something new.
But as you just heard, this idea was dropped because Nintendo wanted them to do something new, so they ended up making an original version of Bowser called Molten Bowser instead. Ice Climbers! When using the Home Run Bat item, Popo grunts during the swing like normal, but Nana grunts during the wind-up, which they likely forgot to change from Brawl, their last Smash game before Ultimate, in which every character made a noise during the wind-up instead of the swing itself. Here's both of them swinging with bats at the same time. She will hold more and more needles between her fingers depending on how much you've charged her neutral special, and she's the only character where something gets added to her model like this depending on how much you've charged a special. I bet you were thinking, huh, but what about Sheik when I was talking about Donkey Kong's facial expression thing earlier, weren't you? But I chose my words very carefully when covering that, so that what I said was still factually true. Haha, got him. Zelda! In the Smash Ultimate reveal presentation at E3 2018, the English voiceover said that her new design is based on a link between worlds.
Zelda's more into research than fighting, so her design is from The Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds.
This was actually a mistranslation. In the original Japanese version of this presentation, Sakurai instead said that her design is based on Zelda's appearance in A Link to the Past. This is even reconfirmed in the game with her new Palutena's guidance, where Palutena straight up says so.
Yes, that's Zelda from A Link to the Past.
It's easy to see where this error came from though, because in Japanese, the game A Link to the Past is called Triforce of the Gods, and A Link Between Worlds is called Triforce of the Gods 2, since it's a direct sequel. To this day, people still believe her new design comes from A Link Between Worlds, when that's not entirely true. So, now you know. Dr. Mario! The two sides of his Mega Vitamin pills are always a random color between yellow, red, and blue, and they also have a solid and opaque side, meaning there are 9 different versions of his pills. He also has a victory screen where he throws 4 pills that are also randomly generated each time. The last 2 are always the same as the first 2 though, meaning this victory screen has a total of 81 different appearances, which increases to 648 if you count all the different alts Dr. Mario can have in them as well. Pichu! Despite Pichu being a Pokemon without any visual gender differences, the spiky-eared Pichu from a HeartGold and SoulSilver event is always female in-game, meaning one of Pichu's alts does have a confirmed gender, namely the 6th one as female, since that one is based on the spiky-eared Pichu from that event. Falco! For some reason, Falco is the only fighter in the game where no sound effect plays when they get footstooled. Despite not speaking English until Smash Ultimate, Marth has an unused voice clip in Melee where he says "Let's dance" in English.
Let's dance!
It's not known where this voice clip would have played if it were used.
Lucina.
While Lucina reuses all of Marth's attack animations, she actually has one unique animation, namely her neutral special, being a bit more frantic than Marth's animation, most easily seen if you compare the height of their left hands when they actually stab with their swords. This is also true for Kirby's version of these moves, except it seems to be reversed, with Marth's version being more exaggerated than Lucina's.
Young Link.
His neutral special doesn't really make sense. Young Link wasn't able to use the bow in Ocarina of Time, his debut game. He was able to use it in the game's sequel though, Majora's Mask, including fire arrows. But despite this, the bow design they used in Smash is the one from Ocarina of Time. It looked pretty different in Majora's Mask. You know, the game where he was actually able to use it. I'll let it slide though, since adult Link, which can use the bow in Ocarina of Time, is just young Link grown up. But it's still pretty funny that the move would have made more sense if they had just used the bow design from Majora's Mask.
Ganondorf.
Kinda similarly to young Link, Ganondorf using a sword doesn't really make sense. He has used swords before, namely in the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, but Smash Ultimate, the first Smash game where Ganondorf actually uses a sword, also changed his design back to be the one from Ocarina of Time again, like in Melee. And in that game, Ganondorf never used a sword, just magic. Again, I'll let it slide though, because the Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time is the same dude as the one in Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, where he did use swords, and the actual sword's design comes from an old GameCube tech demo, which also used Ganondorf's Ocarina of Time design. So it's more a neat reference than anything.
Mewtwo.
During its down special, Disable, Mewtwo's eyes turn green, but then changes back to purple when it moves its hand across its eye. If you slow it down and look at it from a different angle, you can see that Mewtwo actually closes its eyes at this point, which is also when the eye color changes. But at normal angles and speeds, it's a really cool effect.
Roy.
When it comes to character status, Roy has an incredibly inspiring history. He was just a Marth clone in Melee, and then he was removed from Brawl and base game Smash 4, until coming back as Smash 4 DLC, where he was largely uncloned, receiving a bunch of new distinct moves from Marth, making him his own character. And then in the following game he got a clone of his own in the form of Chrom, coming full circle. This is why I think just a PNG of Ultimate Roy would make for a baller inspirational poster.
Chrom.
When the game first launched, Chrom had the wrong victory theme, being the normal Fire Emblem theme.
Chrom.
I will cut a path!
Instead of the one specifically from his home game, Fire Emblem Awakening, like Lucina and Robin.
I'm always 3 steps ahead.
This was fixed in update 3.0.0 though.
Mr. Game & Watch.
Despite him actually being a 3D model but always set to appear 2D in every Smash game, you can actually see his 3D model without modifying the game in any way if you scan in his amiibo and turn the model around with the C-stick.
Meta Knight.
His final Smash in Brawl and Smash 4, Galaxia Darkness, was completely made up for Smash, but it later became canon in the Kirby series, specifically in Planet Robobot. Sadly, they gave him a new Final Smash in Ultimate, which is also a Smash original move, essentially undoing what they did in his Brawl Final Smash with Robobot. His dodge sound effects come straight from Kid Icarus Uprising. This is also true for Dark Pit.
Dark Pit.
Something really funny about Dark Pit is that his whole existence as a character is most likely based entirely on this Pit alt from Brawl, since Pit's redesign seen in Brawl was later reused in Kid Icarus Uprising, which was also created by Masahiro Sakurai. I just think that's really funny.
Zero Suit Samus.
Her name in the Russian version of Smash Ultimate uses a completely made up abbreviation of Zero Suit. Her name on the official website in Russian is Samus in Zero Suit, and the Zero Suit part starts with HK, which they abbreviated and put in parentheses in the actual game, even though that abbreviation doesn't actually exist at all.
Wario.
This one is pretty well known by now, but his stomach slowly bulges outwards as his waft charges, which is most easily seen in his biker outfit since it will eventually pop out a bit from underneath his shirt.
Snake.
I only learned about this one recently, but Snake was actually teased in Brawl's announcement trailer moments before his actual reveal, because the box he hides in is visible for a split second in the background of Battlefield, specifically during the shot with the Nintendo on screen. The Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn costumes have a slightly different clapping animation during the no contest screen for some reason. The difference is extremely small, but it's most easily seen if you look at the distance between his legs in both alts. He stands a bit wider in his Radiant Dawn costume. Outside of this animation, both his alts use the exact same animations everywhere else.
Pokémon Trainer.
Because each of the Pokemon trio has 3 different victory screens depending on which Pokemon was out at the end of the match, and the animation also changing depending on if you're using male or female Pokemon Trainer, this character has a total of 18 unique victory screen animations, which might not sound impressive compared to the 81 variants I mentioned Dr. Mario's Pills victory screen having, but remember, those were only texture differences. Here it's actual full-on animations, so 18 is a lot.
Diddy Kong.
The jetpack he uses in his final smash is actually different from the one he uses in his up special. This one is fully metallic instead of wooden and has a pretty different model altogether. And it also looks kinda weird if you ask me. Like, I don't know, it looks kind of untextured to me, if you know what I mean.
Lucas.
It's pretty well known that his final smash, PK Starstorm, wasn't a move he could learn in his home game, Mother 3, instead being a move his party member Kumatora uses. But did you also know that the rest of Lucas's special moves also come from Kumatora? He can't use any of them in his home game. This is also true for Ness. All his special moves, including his final smash, also come from party members from his home game rather than himself, but I just like mentioning it for Lucas specifically, because this is how Kumatora learns PK Starstorm. His Smash Ultimate character artwork was referenced in the first Sonic movie.
King DDD.
He normally appears every now and then in the background of the Dreamland stage floating by, as well as a Bronto bird enemy. But if DDD is currently in the match, he won't appear in the background and instead only Bronto bird will appear.
Olimar.
Blue Pikmin are perfectly fine when thrown into water. Yellow, white, and purple drown for about a second before dying, and red Pikmin die instantly when touching water, which doesn't make sense at all. In the Pikmin series, before Pikmin 4 at least, every non-blue Pikmin type is just as weak to water. It's not like Pokemon where specific types of Pikmin are more resistant to specific elements than others. My guess is that Smash's developers don't know a lot about Pikmin and assume that because red Pikmin are immune to fire, that they must be super weak to water, more so than other types, which isn't true at all. Also, side note, the blue Pikmin just standing on the water surface as they slide back to Olimar looks terrible, like shockingly bad.
Lucario.
While Lucario is a Generation 4 Pokemon, aka from Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, it actually debuted over a year earlier in the Pokemon anime movie, Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, meaning it is technically an anime character instead of a video game character, which in turn means Smash has one playable character that's not from a video game, but instead an anime, and that would be Lucario. I guess Rob also isn't from a video game, but instead from real life, but you know what I mean, he was still tied to video games from the very start, instead of Lucario, where it took over a year for the character to be tied to video games after its debut.
Rob.
He has an on-off switch on the back of his base, and this switch actually turns off when he misses a tech and is lying on the floor.
Toon Link.
This version of Link was never referred to as Toon Link until his appearance in Smash Bros. Brawl, and all subsequent Smash games, meaning that name is a Smash original, as outside of the series the character is always just known as Link, except from the Wind Waker if you're talking about this design. That said though, the name has been officially used since its introduction in Brawl, namely in the Zelda spin-off game Hyrule Warriors, meaning that game technically has a Smash reference. This is also true for Young Link by the way, but it sticks out less with him in my opinion, since you could actually refer to this version of Link as Young Link, since he also has an adult counterpart. Toon Link is a name you'd actually have to come up with, which is what the Smash devs did, and it then later was used in the actual Zelda series, albeit in a non-canon spin-off.
Wolf.
The shots from Wolf's blaster emit black smoke particles when it hits someone only if Fox is in the same match. In all other circumstances, it only emits electricity particles. It's extremely weird and unknown why this happens, but the same smoke particles always appear from Fox's blaster shots, no matter who else is in the match. So that's where it comes from at least.
Villager.
One of Smash 4's official promotional images has Villager doing a pose that he can't do in the actual game. And you wanna know why he can't do that pose? Because that's Ness's up taunt. Like, that's literally the animation of Nest's up taunt except put on Villager, which looks super weird to me and I can't unsee it.
Mega Man!
Because he's a robot, Mega Man's eyes go static whenever he gets hit by an attack strong enough to send him flying. This is actually also true for Rob, except with him it happens with any attack that causes hit stun, even weak ones. There's another little bonus fact for you.
Wii Fit Trainer!
I'm gonna be real, I got nothing interesting or useless on Wii Fit Trainer. So instead I'm gonna steal a fact from the wiki. Close inspection of male and female Wii Fit Trainers' official renders reveal that the two gendered trainers have differently textured shirts. Oh, that's neat. I'm so sorry, Wii Fit mains.
Rosalina and Luma!
When on low health, Luma will start sweating profusely.
Little Mac!
His neutral, side, and up specials all have different sound effects when used by the wireframe Little Mac alt. And this is also true for Kirby, depending on which Little Mac alt he got the neutral special from.
Greninja!
Similarly to Pichu, Greninja also doesn't have a visual gender difference, but we know the gender of the Greninja in Smash Ultimate, because it's able to transform into Ash Greninja, and in Pokemon Sun and Moon, only a special event Greninja with the ability Battle Bond can do this, and this Greninja is always male, just like the Greninja from the anime where this form originates from, meaning the Greninja in Smash is also male.
P-Brawler!
The Bomberman outfit changes color depending on the chosen Mii color, which references different Bomberman characters. But with the white color specifically, the outfit turns both white and blue, instead of just one solid color like the others, in order to look more like the main Bomberman character. This also makes the Bomberman headpiece the only piece of Mii headgear that can change color.
Mii Sword Fighter!
You know how Joker has those unique red trails from his knife attacks to reference the color theme of Persona 5? Well, Mii Sword Fighter gets that too with the Persona 3 and 4 protagonist costumes, with the sword trails becoming blue and yellow respectively to reference those games' color themes.
Mii Gunner!
Back when the Geno Mii costume was revealed for Smash 4, it received a splash screen normally only reserved for fighter announcement, and it was the only Mii costume to get a splash screen. This might have been because Sakurai has said he himself wants the character in Smash, or just because it was a big deal when it was added because of Square Enix being, well, Square Enix.
Palutena!
Her shield used to float behind her arm when holding a small item, instead of the arm strap being around her arm like usual. This was later fixed in a patch after I mentioned it in a video, and to this day I'm still convinced it was only fixed because I pointed it out. Hell yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just pretty proud of that.
Pac-Man!
Back in Smash 4, the classic Pac-Man death sound would play when Pac-Man died, but only in the obscure Street Smash side mode for some reason, not in the main Smash modes.
Game! Robin!
During the animation where Robin gets his Tomes or Levin sword back, he won't fall when pushed off a ledge by a wind box, which is super weird.
Choke!
If you actually land backslash from behind, thus dealing more damage, a small yellow pointy effect briefly shows up, which is a reference to the same kind of effect from Xenoblade appearing around the damage numbers when you successfully deal an attack's bonus effect, such as landing backslash from behind.
Bowser Jr.
It's extremely easy to miss, but the clown cart actually has a little control panel, which is weird because Bowser Jr. pretty much always holds the cart by its side edges.
Duck Hunt!
Pretty much every character in Smash has a blinking animation, but the duck from Duck Hunt doesn't while the dog does, which might seem kinda random, but in real life, ducks do not blink, just like all other birds. Instead, their eyes stay lubricated thanks to a third opaque eyelid that covers their whole eyeballs from time to time, called the nictating membrane, which is probably why the duck from Duck Hunt doesn't blink in Smash. That's some honestly crazy attention to detail. Bravo, Smash team.
Ryu!
During Ryu's Palutena's guidance, Palutena says that Ryu has fought many kinds of foes over the years. Vividi then starts listing some of these kinds off, and one of the ones she lists is superheroes, which is in reference to the Marvel vs. Capcom series, in which Ryu fights against the likes of Spider-Man and Captain America, which means Marvel is indirectly canon to Smash Bros. Thanks to Ryu. Nice.
Ken.
Evo Moment 37, where Ken player Daigo Umehara parried 15 consecutive hits of Chun-Li player Justin Wong's Super Art, and then used Ken's Super Art Shippujin Raikyaku to win the match, was referenced in Ken's reveal trailer, where he did the move out of a parry against Little Mac. Ken's parry pose in Smash is almost identical to the pose he strikes at the start of this Final Smash, and in the trailer, they cut the footage up in such a way that it appears like Ken does the move with the same motion as the parry, which personally makes me believe the reference was 100% intentional.
Cloud.
If you do Cloud's Palutena's guidance while in stamina mode, the final line said by Pid will actually change a little bit, and he's the only character where their guidance changes a bit depending on game mode.
One of his limit break moves is called Finishing Touch. It doesn't do much damage, but it can launch you off the stage in a split second.
Now that I know Cloud's tricks, this one's in the bag.
It doesn't do much damage, but it can launch you off the stage in a split second.
Not a problem. We're playing stamina mode.
Corrin.
This character's English name was not known yet by the time of his Smash announcement, meaning that his splash screen was the first ever official use of the name Corrin. Up until that point, the character was only known by their Japanese name, Kamui.
Bayonetta.
In the Japanese version of Smash, Bayonetta speaks Japanese in her Bayo 2 outfit and English in her Bayo 1 outfit.
If
you need to learn how to talk to a lady, ask your mum.
And this is why she has two separate entries in the voices menu, even in the English version of Smash where she speaks English in both alts. Instead of just removing one of the Bayonetta options from the menu in the English version, they just made both of them have the exact same list of English voice clips, except they removed one random clip from the Bayonetta 2 alt, namely this one.
Boom!
Even though both alts can still say it in-game, obviously.
Boom! Boom!
And here's the weirdest part. In Japanese, the Bayo 1 costume has 46 voice lines, and the Bayo 2 costume has 48 voice lines, meaning the total count difference there is 2 voice clips, not 1 like the English version's list would have you believe. I really can't see a good reason for this other than that they were too lazy to actually remove one of the options in the English version and just removed one random voice clip instead, just so that it looks like there's an actual reason for it, when that's not the case at all. Wow, that's dumb.
Inkling.
Of all Smash fighters, Inkling has the most amount of unique amiibo figurines that work in Smash as a figure player, at 11 as of the release of the Splatoon 3 Inkling amiibo.
Ridley.
In the E3 demo of Smash Ultimate, Ridley didn't have his Meta Ridley alts, and instead had 2 alts of his regular form based on them, which was pretty weird considering they did reveal he had Meta Ridley alts beforehand, but they just weren't in the demo. Anyways, these 2 cut alts based on Meta Ridley aren't in the final game, which is a shame because I like them a lot, especially the first one. They have been recreated pretty faithfully through this mod by my buddy Scrimblow Bimblow, so you can get them in-game if you really want to.
Simon.
One of Simon's victory screens directly references a glitch from the original Castlevania, where upon grabbing the orb that acts as the goal of a stage, if you held both the jump and whip buttons down, Simon would repeatedly jump up and down while swinging his whip back and forth, even though you're not supposed to be able to move. Which is exactly what happens in the victory screen. He grabs the orb and then keeps jumping and swinging. The camera even moves to a position to further reference the original Castlevania.
Richter.
In the game's code, the fire from Richter's down special is given the aura effect. You know, the same blue stuff Lucario attacks with. This is really weird because it doesn't function as all other aura attacks, by which I mean its damage doesn't increase depending on how much damage the user has taken, unlike all of Lucario's aura attacks, which is that character's whole gimmick. The reason Richter's fire is coded to be aura isn't known. It might have been slightly easier to program the fire being blue that way, but I seriously doubt that.
King K. Rool.
His side taunt has belly armor. You probably already knew that, but I just think it is really funny.
Isabelle.
Isabelle is the only Ultimate newcomer that had a reveal trailer, whose Final Smash isn't in said reveal trailer at all. The reason for this is because her Final Smash features Tom Nook, who was later revealed to be watching the trailer himself, without knowing about Isabelle's Smash inclusion beforehand. So it would have been pretty weird for him to see himself be a part of something without knowing about it first.
Incineroar.
Once Incineroar has Revenge active and ready, you can faintly hear the sound of burning embers.
Piranha Plant.
There is an unused official render of Piranha Plant with its default alt but in the warp pipe from the second alt, instead of the usual flower pot. This image was part of a press kit Nintendo released back around the time Piranha Plant was announced, which is weird considering it's not in the game at all, which might indicate that the idea to have some alts in a flower pot instead of a pipe came pretty late in development of the character.
Joker.
There's an Easter egg where Joker can transition straight into the results screen from his final smash if the final smash is likely to end the game anyways. And because up to 4 characters can be in the ending image at once, and some characters sharing the exact same hurt animation as others, there are a total of 39,449,440 unique animations this victory screen can have, thanks to all the different combinations of characters possible. Technically, the victory screen doesn't start until game appears on screen, at which point the background just turns into a still image waving in the wind. So all those variations actually all count as one victory screen animation. But I don't care. Big numbers make me happy, so you should hit that subscribe button right now. Go ahead, I'll wait. You done? Okay, let's continue.
Hero.
When you use command selection, Hero will strike a thinking pose, but he will open his mouth for a bit when the cursor in the menu is moved for the first time. Okay.
Banjo-Kazooie.
I was told this on the Use the Smash Facts language episode, but apparently Banjo-Kazooie's down special, normally called Rear Egg, is called Ass Egg in the Japanese version, which is hilarious. The reason I said apparently is because I can't read Japanese to confirm this myself, but it's true according to the wiki, while not being true according to Google Translate. So, I'm just gonna take the wiki's word for it.
Harry.
His hat will fly off his head when losing his last stock in a stamina battle, which is a reference to the same thing happening when he loses in his home series.
Violet.
Alright, this one might be a little confusing, so I'm gonna need you to lock in. Byleth's reveal trailer first has male Byleth's splash screen, and then later female Byleth gets one herself, which reads Byleth recruits Byleth, referring to male Byleth recruiting female Byleth to smash. This technically means that female Byleth's splash screen highlights a different character than herself, since the main big text refers to male Byleth, with only the subtext referring to the actual person visible in the splash screen, which simultaneously makes male Byleth the only Smash character that gets highlighted in 2 splash screens, and female Byleth the only one to get highlighted in 0 splash screens, at least of the characters that actually got splash screens. I think you get what I mean, right?
Min Min.
Speaking of trailers, Min Min's trailer makes no sense at all according to the lore of ARMS. In that universe, humans born with the ARMS ability always have spiral-shaped pupils, and their actual arms are basically impossible to control, instead randomly switching between normal and spring-like, until they put on a special mask, at which point their arms will take on their coiled appearance, allowing them to both extend their arms as we see in the game, as well as uncoil them to more closely resemble normal human arms, though they will still have their coiled appearance. In Min Min's Smash trailer, however, not only is she seen with normal human arms that seem perfectly stable for her, as well as having normal pupils, until she puts on her mask, which makes her pupils suddenly gain those spiral shapes, as well as making her arms just poof into the spring-like noodle arms we know her having. Technically, that part could be accurate to ARMS lore, but her gaining spiral pupils when putting on the mask doesn't make sense at all.
Steve.
When Steve released, one of his victory screens had him chewing on a piece of steak and then holding it in front of him, which looked like he was holding his dick in his hand. Many people pointed out how funny this was, until it was sadly patched out not too long after. Now Steve just eats the steak fully and it disappears before Steve can hold it in front of him. Bummer.
Sephiroth.
His victory screens actually load faster than every other character's since it doesn't have to load that big grassy area they normally have, because all of Sephiroth's victory screens take place on this fiery backdrop instead.
Mithra.
She was censored for Smash, first in her Spirit's artwork in the base game, and that censored Smash original design was later added as an optional outfit to her home game, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, via an update.
Pyra.
She also has a censored design in Smash, which was never added to Xenoblade 2, which is weird since they did edit her Xenoblade 2 model to have those new tights, as briefly seen in her Smash reveal trailer, meaning Monolith Soft did make that design for her Xenoblade 2 model, they just never put it in the actual game, probably because it's really not that different from her normal design, unlike Mythra's new design, which is a lot more different than the normal one.
Kazuya.
For some reason, you can cancel Kazuya's heavy down tilt before the hitbox comes out by pressing shield. This is his only move where you can do this, and I don't know why you would. I guess for mix-up purposes? I don't know, it's weird.
Sora.
The stamina mode exclusive slow-mo effect used when Sora lands the winning blow also applies to assist trophies he summons, which can lead to some pretty funny results, like this. And this. And there you have it, one quick useless fact on every character. Well, to be fair, I gave one fact for the Pokemon Trainer Trio, but I also had 2 entries with a bonus fact, so I still ended with the same amount of facts as there are characters in the game. Nice. Anyways, like I said, some characters are just less interesting than others, but I still hope you enjoyed the segment on your mains. And if you have any fun, useless facts of your own, feel free to share them in the comments down below, and maybe I'll do something like this again in the future. Big shoutouts as usual to Quote is Cool, The Flying Fire, Giant Firing Cole, Lime the Chef, Soul700, Herc, Lirafax1, Sheen for the Win, ExoBear, and the rest of my awesome Patreon supporters, both past and present. If you want to help support the channel like them, you know where to look. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to leave a dislike and unsubscribe if you enjoyed the video. See, I'm trying to do some reverse psychology thing on you. Let me know if it worked. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you back here again for a video I can't believe I even get to make. Bye bye.